What's up, everyone? Welcome back to another video on the Entertainment Channel, where I talk about all things sports, primarily from a Chicago sports fan perspective. And today I'm going to be doing a little bit of Cubs history. So I do a little series called Today in Cubs History, usually every Wednesday, where I talk about things that have happened throughout Cubs history on this date. So today's Wednesday, September 3rd. So going to be talking about some things that have happened on September 3rd throughout the Chicago Cubs history. And if you haven't already done so, make sure you drop a like, hit a comment, subscribe, do whatever it can to help me grow the Entertainment Channel as we continue to build up the Ant Farm, guys. But let me not even waste any time, man. I'm not going to take up too much time on this video because we're going to keep it straight to the point. But first things first, today, September 3rd, 1963. Let me pull up his little flicky. So today in Cubs history, September 3rd, 1963, Cubs third baseman, Hall of Famer Ron Santo ties the modern league national record at the time for errors in an inning at third base with 3 errors to help the Giants beat the Chicago Cubs 16-3. So Ron Santos, you probably wouldn't expect him to have 3 errors in one inning. And this happened in 1963. And the funny part is, from 1964 to 1968, he actually won 5 straight NL Gold Gloves at third base. So he had that record for a while. It did end up getting broken, but you just kind of see, and it's a little ironic when this happens to be like a star player, Hall of Famer, and they have one of these weird records. Because you see Ron Santos, and he was inducted into the Hall of Fame 2012, unfortunately, after he already passed away. But dude was an absolute beast in a Cubs uniform. 1960 Topps All-Star rookie team, 9-time All-Star, 5-time NL Gold Glove winner, 2-time on-base percentage leader in the NL, NL's tripper leader in 1964, 4-time walk leader, 64, 66, 68, 11 20 home run seasons, 4 30 home run seasons, 400 RBI seasons, and like I mentioned, Hall of Famer class of 2012. So when you think of Ron Santo, all you really think about is greatness. Hall of Famer, third baseman, probably one of the best hitters in Cubs history, best third baseman defensively in Cubs history. And dude, still, with all that being said, held the record for errors in one inning by a third baseman when he had 3 on September 3rd, 1963 against the Giants in a loss that the Cubbies lost 16-3. So, a little choke up there. Got a little sad. But in all seriousness, man, this kind of a reminder, no matter how many errors you make in a game, in a season, in one inning, there's still always time to turn it around. And Ron Santo is definitely a great example of that. Dude came into the league 1960, ended up winning, like I said, 5 Gold Gloves, 1964 to 1968. So he didn't let that little record beat him that he had in 1963. Dude still bounced back, got his lick back, got those 5 NL Gold Gloves in a row. So Ron Santos, September 3rd, 1963, ties the modern National League record for errors in an inning at third base with 3 in a Cubbies 16-3 loss to the San Francisco Giants. So keep that in mind, guys. Even if you mess up, even if you break a record, there's still time to turn around, in whatever career you're in, you could still become a Hall of Famer a la Ron Santo. So shout out Ron Santo, rest in peace. So that's the first thing that happened today in Cubs history. So started skimming through, and the next one I have here, second thing that happened September 3rd in Cubs history. I actually definitely touched on this in another video about Billy Williams. It happened to come up for a game that happened back in the 70s, I believe, or for the Cubs, where there was another record that took place that day in a crazy loss. But let's get right into this next one right here. So September 3rd, and this is one of the craziest, to me, one of the craziest historical things, because usually when you have a record, you don't let it go. But on September 3rd, 1970, Cubs outfielder Billy Williams asked to sit out. And the crazy part is that him sitting out ended his, at the time, National League record for consecutive games played at 1,117 games. So he willingly asked to sit out on this date back in 1970, ended his NL record consecutive games played. And the crazy thing about it is that 1962, he made the National League All-Star game for the first of his 6 times in his career. Then the next September is when he began that streak of 1,117 games, and he did not miss a game for 7 years, which was at the time the NL record. So a little bit weird, man. You usually don't expect. It's like Cal Ripken basically asking, yo, take me out of the game. I don't want to hit, even though his streak is on the line or he's in the middle of an at-bat and just basically yanks himself out. So Billy Williams, absolute Hall of Famer legend from the Chicago Cubs. He's a Hall of Fame class of 1987, as you can see right here on this page. But just absolutely kind of blows my mind when I remember this one, when I look back at it. Like, man, I cannot believe that this dude had this record and then just willingly decided, like, you know what, bust it. I don't even want to keep the record anymore. And who knows why? Who knows what happened in the background, whether there was some underlying reason. I'm sure if I started looking out for it, you could probably find some conspiracy, something that's out there. But on this date, September 3rd, 1970, Cubs outfielder Billy Williams asked to sit out. And the crazy thing about it is that ended his 1,117 consecutive games played, which at the time was an NL record. Dude did not miss a game for 7 straight seasons, and then just out of the blue decides, you know what, today's not the day. And on this day in 1970, asked to sit out, ending that crazy 1,117 consecutive games played series. So let me know if you guys have any ideas of why he dropped out, why he didn't want to play that game. I wasn't alive. I was born in 1993. So if there's something you know that I don't, why did he ask to just sit out? Like, I mean, he ended up holding on to the record for another 13 years. It was broken by Steve Garvey at the time. But anything to let me know, why did he do this? Why did Billy Williams just randomly decide, you know what, not made for me? And a really cool detail, nothing to do with today's date in history, but a cool detail about Billy Williams is his 25 homers was a Cubs record for a rookie until 2015 when Kris Bryant broke that record. So Billy Williams did go on to hit more than 20 home runs in the next 12 seasons. But pretty crazy that his 25 homers for a rookie, that stood the test of time until 2015 when future World Series champion, NL MVP Kris Bryant came up his rookie season and ended up breaking that Billy Williams record. So Billy Williams, one of the best outfielders, best hitters in Cubs history, had that 25 home run rookie record until Kris Bryant came along and broke it. So those are probably the two coolest that I saw today in terms of Cubs history. Notable players, people that we know, things that are a little bit different. You don't expect Ron Santo to be in the same sentence as the most errors made in one inning, but he did do that in 1963 at third, which was a record at the time for most errors in an inning by a third baseman in a loss to the San Francisco Giants. And then Billy Williams just randomly asked to sit out a game after breaking a record, holding the record for 1,117 consecutive games. Then this last one, just kind of random, but I couldn't pass it up, guys. Maybe it's because I'm just a child, just a regular dude. But this last one, the name had me just like, wait, let me double check that. Let me read that again. So today, let me pull this out. We got to get his picture. This guy, just the name, Pete Lecoq, looks like the kind of guy that's name would be Pete Lecoq. But on this day, September 3rd, 1975, in his final game of his Hall of Fame career, Bob Gibson of the St. Louis Cardinals gives up a grand slam to Pete Lecoq. And this ended up being Lecoq's only grand slam in the history of his career. And it ended up with a win for the Cubbies, winning that game 11-6. And a cool note about it is that Lecoq and Gibson actually ended up playing against each other in a old timers game. And on the very first pitch, Gibson just nailed Lecoq, drilled him right in the ribs, and ended up getting his lick back after that grand slam that Lecoq got on of him. So crazy one right here. Not because Pete Lecoq is some Hall of Famer, but kind of speaks for itself. I mean, the name, haven't heard of it, haven't heard it since. But Pete Lecoq, man, on this day, September 3rd, 1975, hit his only career grand slam against Hall of Famer Bob Gibson in an 11-6 Cubs win. And then several years later, Gibson playing against Lecoq in an old-timers time of exhibition game. Gibson on the very first pitch drills Lecoq right into the ribs, sending that message. So crazy guy right here, man. You look at him, just looks like an old school basketball or baseball player, my mistake. And then something interesting too. So Pete Lecoq on this day hits the grand slam against the Cardinals. Cubbies win, got this crazy name. I was looking, I'm like, wait a minute. This dude went to William Howard Taft High School. And if you're like myself from Chicago, we all heard of Taft High School. So kind of a cool story. This dude back in the day in the 70s went to high school here in Chicago, ends up playing on the Cubbies, has a grand slam against a Hall of Famer like Bob Gibson in an 11-6 win for the Cubbies. Just something kind of funny, cool when you're looking through baseball history. Someone like myself that likes Chicago Cubs, obviously, and then grew up in Chicago. You're seeing that this random player happened to go to Taft High School. So all of my Chicago high school alumni, I'm a Lane Tech alumni. Shout out to LT. But William Howard Taft High School, probably the coolest name of an MLB player that I found in a while, Pete Lecoq, with a capital C too. So you know this man means business. So had a couple things here that happened today in Cubs history, September 3rd. Drop a comment. Let me know which one's the most interesting to you. Ron Santos, did you know that he had the NL record for most errors in an inning with 3? And did you know that Billy Williams, he had the consecutive win streak or games played 1,117, then just willingly decides to sit out. So those are the 3 things that happened today in Cubs history, guys. So let's do it. Let's run it down the order real quick. So today in Cubs history, Ron Santos, he ties an NL record at the time, committing 3 errors in 1 inning against the Giants in a Cubs loss. Then the second thing that happened today in Cubs history, September 3rd, 1970, Billy Williams had a consecutive game streak of 1,117 games, and he just decided on this date in 1970, you know what? Let me sit out today. Ended his consecutive game streak, which is just kind of a who knows why he did it, why that happened. Then the last thing that happened today in Cubs history on my list is Hall of Famer Bob Gibson gave up a grand slam to crazy Cubby right here, Pete Lecoq. So he gives up a grand slam. Cubbies end up winning 11-6. Lecoq and Gibson actually ended up playing again in an exhibition game several years later, and Gibson struck him right in the ribs, hit him on the first pitch, sending back that message. Still remember that 1975 game. So let me know, what do you guys think? Which one's the most unique to you? Is it that Ron Santos had the NL record for most errors in an inning with 3? Is it that Billy Williams chose to sit out in the middle of a 1,117 consecutive game started streak? Or is the craziest thing that some dude named Pete Lecoq hit a grand slam off of Hall of Famer Bob Gibson on this day, 1975, and the Cubbies end up winning 11-6. So let me know which one you guys think is interesting. I think all 3 are pretty cool. I think the Billy Williams one to me is the craziest thing to me. To me, this seems like a story. It doesn't seem real. I don't get why Billy Williams would have a 1,117 consecutive games played streak and then just decide on this date back in 1970, you know what? Coach, just sit me out. I don't care about the record. I don't care about the consecutive games played. So if you guys know why he did this, let me know, because I couldn't find anything online. I don't see why Billy would have asked to sit out. But on this date, September 3rd, 1970, Billy sits out, asked to sit out of the game, ending his 1,117 consecutive game start played in the MLB. So let me know what happened, man. If anybody knows why, tell me, because that's absolutely bonkers to me. Dude's in the middle of a record, then it's just like, you know what? I'm going to sit out today, coach. Just let me sit it out. And just record ends right there. That does end up getting broken not so many years later, but at that time, it was a National League record, and he just willingly gave it up, which is crazy to me. But thanks for coming through, guys. Appreciate the support. Nice little 12, 13-minute video. But like I said, hit that like button, drop a comment, subscribe, share. We got to help grow the entertainment community. And Cubbies are playing tonight. We're only, 5 games back now, the Milwaukee Brewers. Heating up, about to go for the sweep tonight against the Braves. So stay hot out there, Chicago. You got to remember, Cubbies coming for y'all in the playoffs, baby. And one thing when you're on the entertainment channel, you always got to go crazy. Don't be lazy. And don't be doing nothing fugazi, y'all. Deuces, stay up.